In February, I attended an internship at a wildlife conservation area called Tall Timbers in North Florida. My main focus at the internship was quail and land conservation. This was in the Red Hills region, which is a very unique area. The Red Hills region is a 436,000 area acreage located between Thomasville, Georgia and Tallahassee, Florida. Known for its rolling hills and red clay soils, the region is rich in biological diversity, historic resources, and scenic beauty. The Nature Conservancy has designated the Red Hills as one of America's last great places. Carefully managed for the propagation of bobwhite quail, the hunting plantations of the Red Hills contain a significant portion of the native longleaf pine remaining in the United States and the largest contiguous acreage on privately owned land. Through sensitive forestry practices and integrated wildlife values and prescribed burning, landowners have made a significant contribution to maintaining the biological heritage of the Red Hills region. In the Red Hills, more than 64 threatened and endangered plant and animal species find refuge, while healthy forests are selectively harvested for timber. The internship was an 8-week program from January to February that is designed to show young people Tall Timbers' land ethic and exemplary land stewardship. I worked at the Tall Timbers Research Station and was exposed to a wide array of activities in a short period of time. Prescribed burning and wildlife management, preserving the historical and natural features of the Red Hills region, as well as educating and training in the field. I worked on many interesting things throughout my time, such as wildlife research, radio tracking quail, avian and mammal trapping, predator index, as well as quail trapping research and translocation. I also worked on nest predator trapping and feral hog trapping, as well as a few basic power equipment operations. Land conservation is the process of protecting natural land. This means that an owner dedicates a certain amount of acres on his land that can never be built on and has to be kept the same for the environment. Ducks Unlimited is an American nonprofit organization dedicated to the conservation of wetlands, associated upland habitats for waterfowl and other wildlife. It has a membership of around 700,000 since 2013. Ducks Unlimited was founded by a group of waterfowl hunters in the 1930s, and today 90% of the members are waterfowl hunters. Through the support of these sportsmen, Ducks Unlimited has been able to conserve more than 12.5 million acres across North America. In Florida and Georgia, they have conserved more than 50,000 acres dedicated to quail and other wildlife preservation. On my internship, I learned about prescribed burning and the importance of it. Fire was a cultural thing and a land management practice going back to the Native Americans. The Europeans that settled this area burned for cattle raising, timber, pest control, and as well to keep the land open. Burning was a very common practice, and it was not unusual until sometime after World War I and World War II, when mechanization increased and people started leaving the country to go to the city. When the federal government wanted to rebuild timber stocks in the U.S., the Forest Service adopted a system of basically row crop timber farming. Fire was not a part of that. There was also a widespread education program throughout the South to stomp out fire. From an ecological perspective, they like a wide, varied burn series from February to May at a frequency of about 2 years. At 2 years, you have a diversity of grasses, forbs, and shrubs. It's better for quail, tortoises, sparrows, and butterflies because there are a lot of seed producers, and you end up with more of a pine savanna system, which is a classic look for the quail plantations. The right fire at the right place at the right time can do many great things for the environment. The main ways it helps are by reducing hazardous fuels, protecting human communities from extreme fires. It also minimizes the spread of pests, insects, and disease, removes unwanted species that threaten the native species to the ecosystem, provides forage for animals, improves habitat for threatened and endangered species, recycles nutrients back to the soil, and promotes the growth of trees, wildflowers, and other plants. More prescribed fire means fewer extreme wildfires. In an average year, the Florida Forest Service will issue approximately 88,000 authorizations, allowing landowners and agencies to burn over 2.1 million acres. However, there are many restrictions when it comes to burning. You must go to your local government to acquire a permit in order to burn, and you will also have to take a course in order to earn your burn license. This course goes in depth on maintaining fires as well as knowing how to control them. Quail are very low in the food chain and are subject to predation from various critters, including bobcats, coyotes, foxes, raccoons, possums, hawks, owls, and snakes. One of the biggest issues in the wildlife management in the US is feral hogs. Hogs cause extensive damage to agricultural crops, livestock, forests, and the environment. They have detrimental effect on wildlife native species. The feral hog is a non-native species as well as an invasive species brought to the Americas by Spanish explorers in the early 1500s as a widely available food source. Wild pigs originated as domestic stock, and they were favored for lease due to their unmatched survivability and because of low effort required to raise them. They cause over $1 billion in damage in the US annually, and they range from about 150 to 400 pounds. They specifically affect quail by eating all the feed meant for the quail, as well as destroying the ground habitats where quail live. Many landowners spend huge amounts of money trying to trap as many as possible. However, the hogs are very intelligent and hard to trap, and this has led to mass spread of them across the United States. During my time at Tall Timbers, one of the main things we did was trapping, banding, and releasing quail. The process of doing this was quite interesting. First, we would make a trap site that has flat land and clean out any area. We would basically remove any sticks or leaves because the quail prefer a clean site. To bait the sites, we would place corn or milo on the site, and we would then place the traps over the bait. These traps were made of chicken wire and would allow for the quail to walk in but not out, and it didn't harm the birds. Later at night, we would drive to the traps and take the birds out and put them in bird bags according to the trap that they were caught in. We would then take them back to the lab and put them in boxes separated by cage name to keep all the birds that came together. We then put bands on their legs to keep a record of them so we know who's who. We then track them with radio trackers that we put on their necks over the next few weeks in the forest. For this, we have to head into the forest with a radio telemetry pole to find out what direction they are based in on the different noises. We can find out within 10 to 15 feet, and we then record this on the app. We did this to know what areas the quail like to be in, and we do this for the Quail Census to see how many quail are in a specific area. If we catch a bird with a tracker already on it, we'll take it off. We do this Quail Census to show landowners what area the quail like the most. When the birds die, the tracker will will tell us that it has died, and we will then go into the field and figure out how, whether it was a bird or a mammal or others. It's important to know this to also figure out what other types of species are in the forest. Tall Timbers also has a different census on the different species, and it's also good to know what the quail aggressors are in the area. When you band them, you mark down their gender from colors. The females are typically lighter and the males are darker. You can tell their age by their feathers, and we can tell up to a certain date. You then weigh them in a bag, and that's all. We then, all in all, I'm very fortunate to have attended such a great internship. I really enjoyed my time there and learned more about nature than I thought. I believe that everyone needs to be educated on the nature, specifically the nature in your area. I hope you all enjoyed. 1